You know, my hope for leading into Saturday's match is the fact that the Lions can't play, or they cannot start the game as poorly as they did last week. And, you know, if they can just, obviously they will have done, is concentrate on all the positive aspects of their play, which there was many. If they can just start off with that positive attitude and the positive play,
yes,
then I think we'll really feel they've got a chance.
Well, they would have been encouraged by the way they finished,
yeah.
No question about that. And of course the difference was that the platform was there. Mike Phillips was able to be going forward. As soon as you start doing that, the Springboks are on the back foot. The ball is going to cross the line. I've got to admit, I thought the Springboks looked bewildered in the last 20 minutes. They looked as if they were out on their feet. There's a question mark there. They've tried to hide that away, so to speak, pretend it's never happened, and really that it was just a one-off. But, you know, they looked as if they would up to it, but they were under pressure.
Yeah, they were short of match practice, clearly, and I think that told in the last 20 minutes. And, you know, it's just that will, as you say, give the Lions great hope for comfort. And the test side for Saturday, the whole squad really, is flying up to Pretoria on Friday afternoon. They're deciding just to base themselves here in Cape Town and then fly up to Pretoria. What do you think that gives them? I mean, obviously they feel that it must give them some sort of advantage just going up and leaving it late.
During our time, we used to go up and acclimatise, certainly for a week before, maybe for 5 days at least, but they say that it takes probably up to 10 days maybe to completely acclimatise.
What sort of effect does it have? Is it just a lethargy in the players' legs perhaps, and difficult breathe in the last 20 minutes of the game, or is it, throughout the game as well?
Yeah, well, what happens, of course, what you do, you're playing at altitude, there's less oxygen. That's the basis of it, and therefore your body is working harder to take the oxygen intake. So there is a definite, it's not a psychological effect, there is a definite physical effect, in my opinion. And then, as I said, it goes hand in glove with the ball travelling further. Therefore, from a deployment point of view, from a planning point of view, you need to be in a better position. You need to anticipate that the ball will go further, and therefore lay back a little bit more. And of course, what they're particularly good, the South Africans, are they hoof that ball, and when it goes 60, 70, 80 yards is common. So it's an important factor, no question about that. The fact that the Lions are going up just prior to it, they say that it's a better way of preparing rather than sort of giving them 3 or 4 days. You either go the whole hog or you have a short preparation time.
Well, obviously, you know, they're going into the home of the Blue Bulls, victorious Super 14, the real sort of strength of Afrikaner rugby, and it's going to be full-blooded contest again, isn't it? Just that opening exchanges, and the Lions know that they're going to have to play for their lives, really, because unless they can win this, then the Test series is beyond.
Well, this is do or die, no question about that, for obvious reasons. I think the Lions are good enough to win it, but I would certainly suggest that it's going to be even more difficult than winning in Durban. Not just because of altitude and what have you, but as you said, it's a very strong bit of rugby in South Africa. The Blue Bulls have done particularly well in the Super 14s in winning it comprehensively the other day. The crowd would be predominantly from that area. And they are very, very vocal and very supportive. So it's going to be a great atmosphere again. Make no bones about that. But intense, very, very intense. It'll be interesting also to see whether or not the Springboks will now improve that much more, because they did look pretty good to me in that first 40 minutes, and whether or not they can control the game for a longer duration. If they do, then the Lions have got it all to do.
Yeah, but I think we all feel that the Lions are not going to make the same mistakes as they did last week in Durban, and you know, obviously with the changes that they've made, the Lions, you just sort of feel that they've given themselves a better chance from the opening exchanges last week, and you know, they will know that this whole Test series is on the line, and you know, they've just got to go out there as though their very lives depend on this.
Gavin, we all talk about the modern game, the different tactics and what have you, but some basic principles of the game haven't changed in 100 years, you know. You need a strong platform, you need a strong, tight game. We didn't have that down in Durban. We have to have it up in Pretoria, or it'll be over possibly before we know it.
I think we all realise that, but you've got to give the Lions enormous credit for the way that they came back into the game, didn't they? And you know, you just wonder whether the substitutions that the Springboks made, it probably contributed to their own downfall in many respects, didn't it? But on the positive side for the Lions, the substitutions that they made certainly improved the overall performance, didn't they?
There was a swing in balance, wasn't it? Probably from that occasion. I know Adam Jones had just come on and had one or two good scrums, but the Springboks substitutions, well, I wouldn't say bewildered me, because I mean I didn't really know the bench that well, but they certainly looked out of place.
Indeed.
And the difference, Lee Mears, well though he's played on this tour, might have you know, he's not such a physical player as Matthew Rees, and I think Matthew's bulk with Adam Jones secured and strengthened the Lions' scrum.
You're right, and it was very important just that happened, because they were going back at a sort of rate of knots, and you well know that you know, it's so difficult for a scrum half to operate under those sort of conditions, if you like. And it just struck me that you know, the South Africans were the team that looked as though they were the guys on tour, the way that they came out, because everything they did in that opening period, their kicking to touch, their kicking out of hand, was putting the Lions under pressure, and they were just unable to sort of almost break free of that back foot scenario that they started off.
We started poorly. Poor kicking started with Lee Byrne, which we found out subsequently that he did have an injured foot. And Stephen, I think he'd admit he kicked poorly, although I thought he distributed very, very well. So those are the kind of issues that have got to be attended to during the week, and to make sure that up in the veldt and in the rarefied atmosphere, where the ball will travel a lot further, Gav, you know, that we do get that right. Otherwise the Springboks will punish us. They'll be used to that. And to be fair to Peanut, everybody thought he would be a weak link, but he actually did kick a lot better than we all thought he might.
The Lions and the backs were always on the back foot, weren't they? But Jamie Roberts was...
Yeah, Jamie, I thought, and Brian O'Driscoll looked quite dangerous, looked outstanding at times, and they seem to thrive in each other's play. They seem to bring the best out of one another. So I think that there's a lot of hope in that department. If we can secure a control ball and set it up for those boys, I think they can cause a lot of trouble to the Springboks. Big question is, can we reverse the roles, and can we get the result that's definitely required on Saturday?
You know, all the hope amongst the spectators, the Lions supporters after that game was all about, well, if we can eliminate the mistakes, then we've got a real chance.
The Lions, even in the first half, did have opportunities to score, and we've just failed to do so. Yes, we give credit, there was some superb covering and defensive tackling by the Springboks, but there were clear chances. That people did have sight of the line, and so, you know, if whatever we say about it, if those opportunities ever present themselves again, then we have to be a lot more clinical, because that predominantly is where there was a difference in the game. The opportunities the Springboks had, they more or less nailed them. Kicked the goals, scored the tries, whereas we did miss a few kicks at goal, we did miss a few scoring opportunities, and we've all been down that road before, and rue the missed opportunities.
Well, I think the report card reads, could do better, so come on the Lions for Saturday.